made him miss it. The place, the chess, his friends. As he ran, he glanced at his wristwatch and, seeing the time, picked up the pace. He had about an hour and 20 minutes until his appointment at the Institute, and he didn't like to be late. In fact, being late drove him crazy. Headquartered in Küsnacht, about 20 minutes from McBride's hotel, the Institute of Global Studies was a small but venerable think tank funded by old money flowing from tributaries on both sides of the Atlantic. Like so many foundations established in the aftermath of the Second World War, the Institute was dedicated to the idea, the vague and elusive idea, of world peace. Toward that end, it hosted conferences and awarded fellowships each year to a handful of brilliant youths whose research interests coincided with the Foundation's own. These included topics as diverse as the rise of paramilitary formations in Central Africa, Islam and the Internet, deforestation in Nepal, and McBride's own study, which concerned the therapeutic components of animist religions. With the Cold War a thing of the past, the Foundation's directors had formed the opinion that future conflicts would be low-intensity struggles fueled, in most cases, by ethnic and religious differences. With advanced degrees in clinical psychology and modern history, McBride had been traveling for nearly 2 years. During that time, he had produced reports on, among other things, the mass conversion techniques of faith healers in Brazil, the induction of trance states in Haitian voodoo ceremonies, and the role of forest herbs in the rites of candomblé. 2 of these reports had been published in the New York Times Magazine, and this had led to a book contract. In 3 months, his fellowship would be up for renewal, and after thinking it over, he had decided to take a pass. He was a little tired of living out of suitcases and ready to focus on writing a book. And since the Foundation had summoned him to Zurich for their annual chat, it was the perfect opportunity to let them know of his decision in advance. All of which was just another way of saying that life was good and getting better. If McBride's meeting went as planned, he could catch the 6 o'clock flight to London, arriving in time for dinner with Jane herself, the real Jane, whom he hadn't seen in months. Sweet Jane, sweet Jane. It was this prospect that spurred his pace, so that he got back to his hotel, the Florida, nearly 10 minutes earlier than he had expected. This gave him plenty of time to shower, shave, and dress, as well as to pack his only bag, a canvas duffel that had seen better days. His meeting was with the Foundation's director, Gunnar Opdahl, a wealthy and cosmopolitan Norwegian surgeon who had given up medicine for philanthropy. Having spoken with Opdahl by telephone from California, McBride knew that the director wanted him to re-up for a 3rd year. He was glad that he had this opportunity to meet with Opdahl face-to-face. It would give him the chance to discuss the reasons behind his decision to leave, while at the same time expressing his gratitude to the Institute. And while he was at it, he could visit Jane on the way home. The Institute was headquartered in a turn-of-the-century townhouse, a brooding pile of granite built by a Swiss industrialist who had later hanged himself from a chandelier in the foyer, damaging it in the process. The building was 3 stories tall, with mullioned windows and wavy antique glass. There were copper gutters with gargoyles at the downspouts, a trio of chimneys poking through the tiled roof, and 6 window boxes dripping with flowers. A small brass plaque beside the massive front door declared the Foundation's identity in German, French, and English. Above the leaded glass transom, a closed-circuit television camera stared down as he rang the doorbell once, twice, and "Lou!" The door swung open, and Gunnar Opdahl surged into view, eclipsing the room behind him. Taller even than the 6'1" McBride, the Institute's director was impeccably dressed in an expensive business suit that had a hand-tailored look, and a Hermes tie that McBride recognized from the duty-free shops at Heathrow. Rangy, yet solidly built, the 50-ish Opdahl moved with the grace and languor of an aging athlete, which, in fact, he was, having won a bronze medal in the downhill decades earlier. It came up in conversation one time, the strange coincidence that McBride's father had medaled in the same games, Sapporo, 1972, taking a silver in the biathlon, the first American ever to place in the event. Opdahl had winced good-naturedly, complaining that Norway owns the biathlon. At least we're supposed to. Now Opdahl shook his hand and clapped a friendly arm around